everybody. Thank you so much for coming out today. I can't think of a better place to be, though, in a restaurant. Today we're at Maverick Smokehouse to talk about how businesses like Maverick's in the Brightleaf District have been affected by the explosion, and to deliver the message that the district is open for business. Speaking today are Mayor Steve Schewel, Mr. Fergus Bradley, the owner of Maverick's, Brian Smith of the city's Office of Economic and Workforce Development, Mr. Bo Ferguson, he's the city manager for Durham, and Fire Chief Robert Zoldos. And then after they speak, we'll open it up for questions. Okay. Mayor Schewel.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Beverly. Great to see everybody out today. Thank you all so much for being here. We know what a tough time this has been in Durham for the last, I guess 12 days now, since the explosion on April the 10th. Before we begin talking a little bit about the Brightleaf District, I do want to thank again our first responders who have been just amazing, as well as the people who have followed those first responders in. I think you all have seen, a lot of you all have seen what's happened on Duke Street. Our staff has done a great job getting things cleaned up and the streets moving as best we can. And I'm just really impressed with our city and county employees and other people in private businesses who've gotten us going again. Not just the first responders, but those that followed them as well. I want to thank our Governor Cooper for being here last week and for promising us that he would do everything he could to get all the state and federal aid that we can get that will be necessary to help us respond and recover. And I really appreciated the governor being here and being on site. He met, I know that Jim Groves, our emergency management director, Jim is behind me here, is in very close contact with the emergency management people at the state. And we will be doing everything we can to maximize our ability to receive help from the state and the federal government as appropriate. But now what I really want to talk to you about a little bit is just this business district. We're standing here at Maverick Smokehouse, and behind me, and I hope you'll get a chance to interview some of these folks, are some of the business owners in this district. Richard and Jacqueline Morgan are here, the owners of Porsche, of the Maverick Smokehouse, you're going to hear from in just a minute, from Toreros, and also from Divines. Gene Divine is here as well. And these are wonderful businesses. I know that you all, I see you newspaper reporters patronizing these businesses, and I hope you're going to get everybody else to as well. It's really important now that all of us in Durham rally around these businesses. They have suffered from the closure of this parking lot to my left, and you're going to hear a little bit more about the plans for that in a minute. But they're still all these businesses are open now, and we all need to make sure that we're down here supporting them. I'm going to be having lunch here in a minute, and I hope that many of you all will join me and that everybody can come down here and support all of these businesses. It's critically important that we do. Let me just tell you a detail about that, about the parking. There is the new West Pettigrew Street parking garage, and that garage is less than a 5-minute walk to most of these businesses. There's on-street parking on many of the streets around here. I park on street nearby. There is on-street parking around the Brightleaf District, and nearly all of those spots are open. It's a 10-minute walk from CCB Plaza downtown. It's less than a 10-minute walk from East Campus. The Bull City Connector, of course, is a fare-free bus route that runs right by here every 17 minutes down Main Street. And we're currently exploring additional parking options to ease the burden, which again, you're going to hear about in a minute from our city staff. The Brightleaf District is over 100 years old. This district is one of our early business districts. It's not just the beautiful Brightleaf Square that we see behind us, but it's all of these businesses in this area that need our support. This district is approximately a 6-block radius. It's a very tight-knit business district, and as you see from the business owners behind me, these are people who are ready to make their businesses go. Their businesses are open, and we urge all of you all to come down here and enjoy it. So I want to thank you all very much for being here. It's really important that we get this message out. So your presence here as members of the media I'm very, very grateful for it. We want to support these businesses. This is a time when these businesses who've been serving our community for many years really need the community support. So I'm saying to all of my fellow residents in Durham, come down here, have lunch, shop at Brightleaf Square, shop over there across the street at Morgan's, at Peabody Place. These businesses are all open. They're all awesome businesses, and they're waiting for you all to come, all of my fellow residents, and give them their support. And now I'm going to turn the mic over to one of our business owners. As you all know, Maverick Smokehouse did a wonderful job of being the headquarters for our first responders during the day and the day after the explosion. And I want to introduce Fergus Bradley, of Maverick Smokehouse, who's going to talk to you a little bit now. Fergus.
Hello, thank you all for being here. I guess what I'd like to say is that we're open for business. We're very proud to be part of the Brightleaf Square Business District that's home to 35 small restaurants and stores. And the best thing that the community can do right now is to come down and shop and dine with us. It's a beautiful day. Thank you all for being here.
Next we have Brian Smith. He is with the city's Office of Economic and Workforce Development.
Good afternoon. As Beverly said, my name is Brian Smith. I'm the Senior Economic Development Coordinator with the city's Office of Economic and Workforce Development, and I'd like to give you an update on the business recovery efforts after the April 10th explosion. Since the explosion, the Office of Economic and Workforce Development has been working with several community partners to coordinate the recovery assistance for affected businesses. We have worked with Durham County Emergency Management to get an idea of the economic injury that the businesses have suffered. So far, we've identified and made contact with over a dozen businesses that have been affected or have had a business interruption as a result of the explosion. And we're working directly with those businesses to provide targeted technical assistance to ensure that they're able to continue operation. Most of the businesses are open, as the mayor said, and the only ones that are really affected that are still closed are the ones that are in the immediate adjacent area of the explosion. As the mayor mentioned, the city has requested an economic injury disaster loan declaration from the U.S. Small Business Administration. That loan is for businesses who have suffered substantial economic injury and are unable to meet its obligations and to pay its ordinary and necessary operating expenses. EIDLs provide the necessary working capital to help small businesses survive under normal operations after a disaster like this. If Durham is granted that declaration, affected businesses will be eligible for loans up to $2 million to help meet financial obligations and operating expenses that could have been met if the disaster had not occurred. So last week the governor has signed and submitted that letter to the SBA for Durham to receive the declaration, and we'll continue to provide updates via the alertdurham.com website. Other resources that we are helping to pull together for businesses include the Chesterfield right across the street. They're offering space in the atrium and conference room for free to affected businesses. We have the Durham Tech Small Business Center, also in the Chesterfield, who is opening their space in their conference room for use by affected businesses as well. We have the City Small Business Advisory Committee, which is comprised of technical and financial assistance partners who provide targeted small business services such as business planning, marketing strategy development, financial, management skills training, and business counseling. So the SBAC is working right now with the businesses who've been identified so far, and will continue to serve as a resource for additional business needs as they're made known. Parking, as the mayor mentioned, has been a real issue for this area since the explosion, and it's been constrained due to the loss of the parking lot across the street. So we're working right now with the city's parking management team on a way to mitigate that impact and make it easier for people to park and get to the businesses in the Bright Street District area. The team is working now and expects to have some solutions by midweek, so please stay tuned for updates. There have been a number of fundraisers that have been put together to support those who have been affected. The community has really stepped up in a big way. There are several online fundraisers that people can donate to, and those include Bull City Rebuilds, Durham Restaurant Workers Fund, Elite Family Support for the family of Mr. Conley at Caffeinate Cafe, and an additional fundraiser for Caffeinate Cafe itself, and a fundraiser for Jay Ramboon, who was a veteran of Dominion Gas who was injured in the explosion. So altogether, those fundraisers have raised almost $250,000 to support businesses and affected individuals in less than 2 weeks. Those numbers really are a true testament to what a generous and connected community we have here in Durham. And just as a note, Discover Durham and the City of Durham have not organized or affiliated with any of these fundraisers, so please use your best judgment when donating to any fundraising effort. And again, you can look at discoverdurham.com to get a list of the fundraisers that are available. I'd like to next talk about what the United Way is doing to address the human needs of individuals affected by the explosion. The United Way of the Greater Triangle is partnering with the Triangle Community Foundation, Durham County Government, the City of Durham, and other agencies to create the Durham One Fund. The Durham One Fund is intended to help stabilize and rebuild the lives of individuals and families impacted by unforeseen events of a public and disastrous nature. Established with approval by the United Way Board of Directors for the restriction of funds, the Durham One Fund is being created as a vehicle to raise funds for and to invest those funds into nonprofit organizations providing short and long-term human services for residents of Durham County in response to natural and or large-scale disasters such as the one we just had. The Durham One Fund Committee will appropriate funding within Durham One Fund guidelines set by the members, and more information about the Durham One Fund will be available soon. And we'll also put that on the alertdurham.com website. So this is just a short update on the business recovery efforts as of today. We'll continue to update information about resources available on the alertdurham.com website. So please go to alertdurham.com and click on Employment Disaster Recovery Relief for more information. In addition, you can find additional resources on Downtown Durham's website, downtowndurham.com. And so finally, I'd just like to thank all the community partners, organizations, and individuals who have already given their time, money, and other resources to support the businesses in the Brightleaf District. We will continue to work together alongside Durham's ecosystem of partners to ensure that the Brightleaf District recovers stronger than ever and continues to be a major contributor to the city's economy and vibrant street life.
Thank you, Brian. Next up, we have Deputy City Manager Bo Ferguson, and he will be followed by Chief Robert Zoldos, and they're going to give you an update on the site and cleanup. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Don't have a lot of new information to share this morning, but did want to provide an update about the current condition of the site and activities on the site. First, want to let you know that the city does have a permit application we've received from Dominion Energy to do excavation at the site of where the gas line was struck. The city is reviewing that permit, expects to have it approved today. They are working in conjunction with the North Carolina Utilities Commission. That is part of the North Carolina Utilities Commission investigation into the cause of the accident. So we do expect to get that permit approved, and then would expect in the next few days for them to act on that permit and begin to excavate that site. So that is underway today. The city, and it was hard for us to hear, I apologize if some of this information was covered. The city does not have any parking restrictions in place anywhere around the site except for on-street parking that's on that section of Duke Street that is currently closed. So I want to make it clear that the city is not restricting any parking. There are some private parking lots where the owners of those lots currently have those lots restricted. I do know that we are expecting contractors today working to clean up and restore as much of the Brightleaf lot to my left and to your right as possible. I don't have a timeline from the owners of that lot when they anticipate to reopen it, but I do know that that work is ongoing. And then we'll just let you know that we continue to work with a number of insurance companies, property owners, representatives of those insurance companies on the cleanup of Duke Street and the eventual work that will need to be done to remediate the buildings that face Duke Street. We don't have a firm timeline from them yet. Again, there are a number of different groups involved. We're in daily communication with them. We're working hard to communicate their activities. We do believe they have a sense of urgency to get the work done, but they're having to make a number of arrangements to affect that cleanup. So at this time, we still don't have a firm timeline, but can assure you that we are in daily contact with those entities to try and expedite that work. So those are all the updates I have. Is it back to Beth?
Good afternoon. My name is Bob Zoldis, the City of Durham Fire Chief. I want to thank, first of all, everyone, including Mavericks and all the downtown vendors that helped out all the first responders so much right after the collapse and the firefight. From personal experience, I can tell you it's incredible for our responders to be able to disengage from the scene 1 block away, get some downtime, then get right back into the mission. So I really appreciate all the support of the downtown. I'd also like to thank the entire community for their support. I have not been to a restaurant anywhere in the downtown where someone hasn't mentioned thank you for the incredible work of the Durham Fire Department and all first responders. So I want to say thank you to all the community. As far as our injured firefighters, all are back to work except for firefighter Darren Wheeler. I visited with him on Saturday. He's doing great. He is ready to come back to work. As far as he's concerned, the doctors don't agree with that yet. So we're still looking for a couple months for him. But he looks good. He's in good spirits. So I'm happy to report that. Just for everyone's, for your information, we did conduct critical incident stress debriefing with all of our members. We do have a lot of resources available to them. Members are using that, and so we feel pretty confident that we are approaching not only the physical, but their emotional side as well. And lastly, on the fire investigation, our on-scene digging through the rubble part of the investigation for the fire marshal's office is complete. We'll be on site tomorrow with the State Utilities Commission and the Federal DOT, who will be leading the investigation as far as the actual unearthing of the underground pipeline. That can take several days. We don't have an ETA for you there, but our investigation as far as the rubble is complete. We still have a lot of interviews to go, and we're going to be working with our federal and state partners as we move forward. And I do want to say, just on a personal note, I live only a few blocks from here. The downtown is definitely open. Please come down and support all the wonderful vendors that have supported the first responders. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to open it up for questions.
I guess for Chief Zoldos, most likely, have you gotten or made any progress as far as who was working out there, who did that?
Again, who struck it. So the fire marshal's office is going to investigate how the fire was caused. We're pretty clear on that. We still need to work with all of the next steps with that. The who is going to be part of the State Utilities Commission and Federal DOT.
Do you have anything else to add to that?
You answered it correctly. That's right.
Okay. One other question. I've gotten some questions from viewers wondering why North Duke Street was not closed leading up to the explosion. Is that something that you want to answer?
Sure. The first arriving engine company.
You could face the camera.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
Okay.
The first arriving engine company actually parked in the middle of the street to help isolate the area. The second arriving unit, which was Ladder Company 3, actually did block it, and they put cones down. But they were a later arriving unit because there's not a ladder truck at the closest station. So it was blocked. It wasn't blocked immediately. So the first engine on scene, their job is to investigate, to determine there's an issue, and again, with their gas meters and so forth, they determine there's an issue, and that's why they were blocking the street.
So that livery van that was impacted, they were on a blocked street, or how did that work?
They were probably already on the street and got stuck behind our fire truck. If you remember where it was, our fire truck's sort of dead center. The livery is to the right. We don't want you passing emergency vehicles. That may have been the choice the livery driver made. I don't know what they were doing.
Can you take us through this excavation process, what we're exactly hoping to find, and the developments we're expecting today?
So I actually really need to defer those questions to the North Carolina Utilities Commission. They're in charge of that investigation. They're working with PSNC, Dominion Energy on that, and either spokesman for PSNC or the North Carolina Utilities Commission would be the more appropriate folks to tell you the details of what that'll look like. Really the timeline for when findings will come from that. The city is not in charge of that part of the investigation. That's the Utilities Commission, so we'll defer to them.
And you said a today element. permitting?
That we have to approve the permit. So any work in the right of way is, and we had a release last Tuesday, which I'm sure we can still make available. With a lot of detail in there about how we permit work in the right of way, because there was a number of questions about that as regards to the utility strike. That same process has to be followed for the investigation, and so we've received a permit application from Dominion Energy to excavate that work, and we're expediting our review of that so that they can move forward. It's really just a procedural step before they begin that work.
So, has the city been in touch with the attorneys for Conley's?
Sorry.
Has the city been in touch with the attorneys for Conley's family? And if so, what is that conversation like at this point?
I don't have any information on that. I'd need to confirm with our attorney's office if they've made that contact. I'm not aware of it, but I'm not aware that it hasn't happened, so I'm sorry.
I have a question.
For the chief.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you address evacuations of surrounding buildings
Sure.
from 115?
Yeah, they'll be happy to. So one of the concerns that brought up is why didn't we evacuate the entire block? And the reason is we're going to evacuate what buildings have gas in them. It is a judgment call on first responders how far to evacuate. We prefer on every single scene that we evacuate blocks and blocks and blocks. It makes us feel comfortable. But at the end of the day, we have to do what's right for the businesses and everything else. There was no gas found by monitor in the adjacent buildings, and that's why they were not evacuated.
And which adjacent buildings are you referring to?
The one that is typically brought up is to the right-hand side. Yes, sorry, I'm trying to think of the address right now. I can't pull it. But yeah, again, we're going to be basing it on monitors. First responders use their nose and they smell the mercaptan, which is in the gas. It's an odorant, and that's on the street because that's a wide area. But once we go into buildings, we use our monitors because your nose loses that ability pretty quickly on scene. And we're going to use our monitors to determine where we do need to evacuate and where we don't. And that's how they base it that day.
Chief, Tim with Agency 11. The Carolina livery driver, you're saying that he should have been aware that the street was blocked before parking?
No, I don't know why he was parked where he was.
It was a bus stop.
I'm sorry?
It was a bus stop.
Oh, then maybe that's why he was parked. I don't know. My point was I don't know why he was stopped there. I do know that our second unit arrived, did block the streets off the coast.
Before or, I'm just trying to look at the time. So
I don't know why the delivery driver was already there. I assume if he was at a bus stop, he was already at the bus stop when we blocked the street. So, and I've not spoken to him.
So fire chief, another thing is how this happened, it's so many unknowns. Your firefighters going in, so many members of the public at risk, and then surrounding buildings that have to be evacuated at a moment's notice. I mean, this is possibly a worse nightmare.
It is what we do. Every time someone calls 911, it can be this. And our people have to respond in a scalable way, which allows them to go figure out the problem and then treat it appropriately. Again, with the original units on scene, we are not very far down in our investigation of what we can do better. But I can tell you, the first responding units did a very good job of getting everyone out that they could. Thank you.
Are you surprised that everything was localized to that one building, or is that part of the investigation? You know, why one building was not, there wasn't more damage?
We are hoping to find out that sort of information once our state and federal partners finish their investigation. So, thank you.
Okay, we're going to take one more question. All right then, looks like there are no other questions. Thank you all for coming, and enjoy some lunch here while you're here. Thanks.